Yo, GM, how's it going,
Yo,
everybody?
GM Alphas, happy Monday.
What up? How's
Yo,
everybody doing?
yo, Jeremy, how was the weekend?
Whoops. It's going pretty well, man.
Yeah,
I think
nice.
we're live. I think everything is working. But yeah, the weekend went well. Just a little bit cold. It was icy, like on Thursday and Friday. You know, when we streamed on Friday, but
Right.
the ice was melting, and it was just, man. I washed my truck the other day, and now it's just all dirty again because ice. And once it melted, and I was driving on the streets, it's all over my truck, my windows. So
Man, you gotta hate that winter weather.
yeah, but now it's too cold to wash my truck, so I still have to wait a few days.
Oh no. Yo, Q Dog GM, go get that coffee. I loaded up on that earlier. It's early. It's Monday. We gotta get started. Gotta get that energy. But yeah, welcome everyone to Non-Fungible Alpha NFA, not financial advice. But yeah, let's go ahead and just jump right into things. Let's pull up some floors. Let's look at it's it's been a very interesting weekend. Lots of stuff has happened. Lots of floors have been changing. ETH has been kind of on a nice little run. It's been some good times. Speaking of ETH, if you're in the chat, go and type in exclamation point ETH in the chat. You can update prices right then and there. No need to
Yo,
look at Coinbase or anything while you're watching our stream. There it is. Look at that. Oh, it's even gone up even more. 31.32. We love that.
yo,
Yo,
to the moon.
yo, Q dog exclamation point ETH.
What the?
All right. So we're gonna pull up the Flipstop Finance again, and let's look at some floors. We had a lot of movement, even with ETH. It's kind of interesting, even with ETH climbing as much as it has in the past few days. Floors have also been rising, or staying consistent. Nothing's dropped off. Usually, the general sentiment people say is, as ETH rises, NFTs are going to crash. But we haven't seen that yet. I think if it goes on like a huge run back to 4K, then we'll see a big pullback. But so far we haven't seen that yet. It's been very nice. So let's jump into some of the top gainers. So we've got MFers. They're still going. This is I checked this morning and they're up another like 10% from this morning. But they're at 1.2 for Jeremy, do you
Wait,
have any MFers?
no, but when did that happen? Because I remember looking at these guys when they were like 0.15 or something like that. And we were memeing, and I was like, yo, somebody give me one. Like to Mtoli and stuff.
Yeah.
I think Mtoli has a little bag of these, but I never seen them go up like that. I thought they were still under point 0.2.
No, they may have jumped over the weekend, which is
What?
crazy to me because you think of the only thing I know about MFers, I don't own any, but I think they look nice. It's a nice little meme project, but there's no Discord, there's no Twitter, there's no roadmap, there's nothing. It's basically all community driven, which kind of shows the power of a community, what it can do to uplift a project. So it's kind of crazy to see this floor just rise just based off of what the community is and what they're doing.
Yeah, it's pretty neat to see.
So we've also got Azuki's. You know, Azuki's are back up to 13.2. They're at a 28% over the last 24 hours. We saw them dip below 10 ETH, back up over. They've been kind of doing this whole up and down, but I think that's to be expected because they're still probably out of all these top projects, they're still the newest by like it's only a few weeks old. So I think that's to be expected. They're kind of shaking out the people at their different sell points.
Yeah. Yo, shout out Species to the moon.
Yo, species.
Harry
Those are
Swan, big influence.
that's a Shilliverse favorite right there. Everyone loves the species. Yeah, those are up 20%. I think what I saw yesterday, we saw a nice run on the rares yesterday as well for the species. I think like a wizard sold for was like 12 ETH, and another
Yeah.
something else sold for 10 ETH. So there's been some rares, and I think some speculation I've seen was a lot of the doodle whales are starting to scoop some species.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. Hey, what's up, Wayne? And then Kajuan, if I said your name right. GM.
Yo, GEM. All right.
Oh,
Let's see.
I see my Clonex right there.
Oh, I'm gonna let you talk about CloneX. I had a CloneX. I bought one like at 6.5, thinking like maybe I think they're gonna do something soon. Once they got to 15 ETH, I sold it. So I missed the airdrop. I missed everything. So I'll let you kind of speak of why you think CloneX are pumping and what's behind them.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know why they're pumping, other than the big IP, behind them, like Nike acquiring them, and then Artifact was always doing pretty impressive stuff beforehand, and they continue to do things at a high quality, like a high level. But the thing is, like, if you were to somehow get a Clonex for the point oh 0.05 mint price, and you kept your mint vial, or even if you didn't, your Clonex is at 16 floor, your Clonex is at a 30 floor, and then you would have gotten a Space Pod airdrop to you, which is 1.6. You would have got a Pod X airdrop to you, 1.18. You would have got a Monolith airdrop to you, which is almost a 6 ETH floor. So if you had your mint vial and those things there, you would basically pay 0.05 to get a 38 ETH in current value.
That's
Pretty
insane.
nuts.
That's
Yeah.
insane. And that's talk about rewarding your holders, right? Like your early supporters. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's basically that kind of reminds me of like a Punk's comic trajectory. Like that's awesome.
And none of these have been claims other than the mint vial you paid to like reveal it, right? Like you pay to turn it into a Clone X.
Right.
Other than that, they've all been airdrops.
So let's look at kind of the flip side. What's kind of what hasn't been as successful the last 24 hours. I think to be expected at the very top we see a lot of these derivative type projects. Fat Ape Club, Noundles. We're going to kind of skip over those.
Yeah.
But we're going to pull out some more notable ones. So let's look at Moris. Do you have any crypto Moris?
I
Are you
don't. I
you're not
kind of
part of
missed
the
the.
Mori,
I kind of missed the Gary V pump there. I think. I
right?
think he pumped those at one time.
Yeah, they're back down under 1 ETH now. They've dropped a little. They've dropped. I think I saw them. They've jumped up a little bit from this morning, but I think earlier this morning they were at like 0.95, zero point 0.9. They got a nice little Steve Aoki pump over the weekend. He bought like 10 to 12 of them, and they saw a nice run up to I think 1.4, 1.5, and then now they've kind of pulled back after a typical influencer pump short term. Then afterwards it kind of comes back down to earth.
Hmm.
So those have dropped a bit. And then I think kind of the big one that's been popular over Twitter has been the Hape Primes. I think those are down. So going into Friday, I think they
Yeah.
revealed on Friday. Is that right?
Yeah.
The floor. Do you remember exactly what the floor was?
This is maybe slightly under 8 because they were at 8.5 ish, and then as they get closer to reveal, people started to dump a little bit.
Yeah. Now, what is your opinion on the reveal? I think we've all seen these. What's your kind of takeaway? What do you think of? How do they look?
I mean, I feel like the community and the holders kind of got debated a little bit. I mean, sure, they released previews and stuff, but they definitely picked out their best previews. And I just feel like the dynamic shadow and the rendering of the assets just wasn't there in the final product.
Yeah.
And the one thing I will say, I will defend them on is the ears through the hat. Like, I don't think that they promised anything different, and I don't think that it's actually a mistake. Like, even Bored Apes has the ear through the hat. I
Yeah.
don't know how you would do it differently, anyways, unless you have like ears folded, and it would just look terrible. So I don't think that's a something for them to be worried about. I don't think they should have to fix that.
Hmm.
It just makes sense. So,
Yeah.
but so other than the ears to the hat, just the rest of the quality of the image is just wasn't up to par. But at the same time, it's like at this point, the NFTs aren't really about the art. It's about what the team and the community are doing, right?
Yeah.
But when you just leave it in that context, like, hey, somebody paid 8 ETH for this, I feel like they got debated a bit.
Just a little bit. But I mean, hey, that's gonna happen. But they still can recover. They can get back up to that 80th. We've seen with the NFers who have literally nothing, no roadmap, no nothing. So Hate
Hmm.
Prime at least have a Discord, they have a Twitter, they have a community, they have a roadmap, they have these things in place, so they can make it back up there. Let's talk a little bit about a little bit of news. So we're starting to see a lot of NFTs come into the mainstream. Not even just with Bored Apes, but just NFTs in general. So I don't know. I think we both have seen this. Everyone's probably heard it, maybe. But if you haven't, so in Tampa Bay, there's actually going to be an auction tomorrow, and I can pull up the article right here. So this house in Tampa Bay tomorrow is going to be auctioned off as an NFT. They've actually taken the deeds, the title to it, converted it to an NFT. This real estate company is kind of specializing in this, and tomorrow they're going to have they're gonna have an auction. This is the first ever house being sold as an NFT in the United States, which I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. What do you I mean what are your takeaways of this?
Um, I think to be the first of anything is pretty cool. I haven't done too much research if it will literally be the first, or if it's going to be the first in the U.S. It's going to be the first. I'm not sure about that, but I think the idea is pretty cool because it kind of streamlines the purchasing process of houses because I think they're wrapping it under an LLC, and
Yep.
then the LLC owns the NFT. So essentially, whenever somebody wants to buy the house, like if they were bought and then resold, you're buying the company, you're buying the LLC, and it just makes it smooth and seamless.
Yeah, and that's what Q Dog pointed out. They're auctioning off it as like as an LLC. So you're like I think the headline looks better as being sold as NFT.
Yeah,
It's a nice little buzzy headline, but yeah, I mean the details are they are auctioning off the business that owns the NFT.
yeah, and it
Um,
would be kind of cool if they just went the extra little mile and like say that they did like a 3D scan or 3D walkthrough, 3D modeling of the NFT, and then that's how they did the preview image, for on the marketplaces. That would be neat.
I think I need to join the auction and just ask them like, "Yo, can I airdrop this house into Sandbox to Decentraland?" Like, I need the metaverse layout. I don't need
Yeah.
the physical house.
Yeah, imagine if they had a, full on scale of the metaverse house with this NFT. That would
Yeah.
be insane.
Since we're talking about news, so Bored Apes had a weekend, right? It started off on Friday. They had a little not really controversy on their part, but more of on a certain news organization. So Buzzfeed went through and actually doxed the creators of Bored Apes, two of them. It was Gordon and Garga.
Hmm.
They got a lot of pushback from this article, but BuzzFeed did, and I feel like the creators handled it. As soon as the article came out, it felt like within the same hour they both just was like, "All right, well, we're docs. Here's Web 2 me versus Web 3 me," and posted pictures of themselves and just kind of completely owned it. What's your take on BuzzFeed doing this? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it neutral?
Man, if would I have done this if I were BuzzFeed? Probably not. But they probably celebrated at the end of the day because this is an article that probably got the most clicks for the month, or maybe even for the quarter, because
Hmm.
it's just so clickbaity and everybody's interested in it, whether you're into NFTs or not. Because there's a lot of people out there that want NFTs to do bad, or they want NFTs to be evil, and they want Bored Apes to fail. So you're
Right.
getting people that are just clicking on that to say like, oh my god, are the founders bad people, or did we discover something bad? And then you got Bored Apes checking it out because they want to know. There's a feeling of curiosity, like even myself, like okay, I want to know a little bit about the founders, but because it already happened, I didn't want to know about them, and for somebody to go out there and do this to them, dox them. But if the information is already out there, especially as like a content producer, like we should probably know about it and we should read it. So,
Right.
I mean, no press is bad press in a way. So it's probably good for BuzzFeed. Sorry to the founders that got doxxed. Yeah, it sucks for them. But I'm glad that they just took it in stride and that now they can move forward.
Right. Yeah, I had kind of like two thoughts on this. So let me find this. So part of me, I think that night I had this like kind of conspiracy theory, but not really a conspiracy theory, just trying to, two things kind of matched up. So I don't know if people noticed, like it's even said in the article right here, because all this came from basically Bored Apes. They're raising these funds from this venture capitalist.
Hmm.
They're talking with Andreessen Horowitz, which in the article it's also said Horowitz is an investor in BuzzFeed. So part of me was like, I love conspiracy theories and like diving into them. I don't believe
Hmm.
most of them. I think they're very interesting. So I think it's crazy. I think it's easy to put two and two together. Like, you know what? Maybe this was kind of maybe a planned article. Just to like, the creators were going to be doxxed eventually. So let's just do it in a unique way and let them, basically gain more support for Bored Apes in the process. But you kind of also throw BuzzFeed on the rug. So it's I don't think it was that, but I think that's an interesting thing to kind of take away and look at because the big investor that's in both of them is that's the mutual interest right there. And then
Yeah.
I thought the article was so weird. I don't know if anyone's I'm sure most of the people have read it by now, but even at the end, it's like what was the point of this article? And they say, the reporter says, even though there were no red flags, it's good to still, make sure they're doxxed. So it's like they dox them for like no red flags, and I'm just like, all right, well, where's our article on Beanie? Where's our article on all these people that are even more controversial in the space, taking advantage of people? Where are those articles at? But no, it's always trying to attack and bring down the Bored Apes.
Yeah, I mean, people hate success, right? So especially when you're not a part of it, it's just easy to hate. Howard's though, I mean, they're investors in a lot of things. They're
Yeah,
just, I mean, they just throw money at the wall and see what sticks. So, I mean, of course, they do their due diligence and they only invest in companies that they believe have a shot. But not all of them are going to be successful. I think they're even investors in OpenSea and I believe Dapper as well. So, I mean, they just have their hands in all of this,
yeah,
and that is one of the not the scary things, but that's one of the things where people look at this space in Web3 and decentralization and blah blah blah. It's for the people, and it's like when these companies are still raising Web2 capital, right? So these giants, these conglomerates, still have a big hand in all of this, and through the way that they handle the applications and our information and marketing, we're still being controlled in some way.
right. So we've kind of talking more about Bored Apes, and that wasn't the only thing this weekend. They've had a lot of they had a huge announcement, but we've also seen some of the big influencers sell apes, which I think is really interesting. So Farouk had his interview with the Bored Ape creators and released an article on Medium last week, and then on I think Friday or Saturday he sold his ape, his only ape. And then we've seen over the weekend Beanie has been liquidating all of his apes. So we're
Hmm.
seeing kind of these big names in the space selling their apes, but none of the top holders are selling. It's just these big flashy names that have these big followings. Is there any concern there in your eyes, or is it just kind of like is it just a non-issue and they're just they're just doing their thing?
Uh, I know they're well connected, and they have a lot of people in their ear, um, on both sides of the spectrum in terms of intelligence, probably. So it's really hard to read. The only thing that I can do is just make the best decisions that I have with the information that I have. But just looking at it from the outside in, if I were to see that, I may be a little concerned because, I mean, Beanie's done well with his investments, right? With all his money. And so
Yeah.
he rarely missteps with where he puts his money. Does he make mistakes in what he tweets or the way he talks or anything else like that? Definitely. But in terms of his bag, man, I mean, you could just follow Beanie's steps and you'd have a huge bag of ETH. So it is kind of concerning in that sense.
Yeah, and he was Farouk actually at least sold his above floor like at a good price, but Beanie was he was fire selling them. he was taking the WETH offers. He was listing them at the floor
Hmm.
with rare traits, which makes me think that maybe it was more of a maybe something's happening in Beanie's personal life since he's been doxxed and has all these issues coming up. Maybe he needs some money to pay for maybe legal trouble or
Uh-huh.
something outside, or he's just trying to get out. 'Cause I did see that basically every single time he made a big sale, he converted it to DAI to a stable coin. So maybe there's something else going on. People speculate also maybe he's just selling, gonna move the money into a new anonymous thing and come back into the space as another anonymous person that we're not gonna know it's Beanie.
Hmm.
So we've also got so that's happened. So let's look at we had that announcement from Bored Apes. At first was just I read it at first thinking like, oh, they're just going to announce the leaderboard of the mutant apes and the Bored Ape game. Well, shout out to a lot of people we know like Trucon, Mtoli. I think they both finished in the top 50 of both of the games.
Yeah.
We had a lot of people I know put that we know put in
They put
tons
in
of
that
hours
work.
into that. Yeah, they put in that work. They lost that sleep. But they released that announcement, releasing a leaderboard, but then they kind of buried some more news inside of that. And the first
Mm.
piece was the header. I mean, I think we've all seen the header, right? So it's just the still image of Curtis on the dock, um, and then at the end of their announcement, they said, I forgot who wrote the article, if it was Gordon or Garga, but they said, hey, we can't release anything else because they're gonna not they'll get in trouble, but this is basically a sneak peek to something.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of speculation, and I don't know if you have your own theory or if you've seen a theory that you like online. What's your takeaway of this?
Man, I haven't dived into all the theories, but the main one that everybody knows about is just like, hey, this could be a Super Bowl commercial. This could be a Super Bowl ad. And I don't know if it's going to be live on the Super Bowl broadcast, but I could see it going live during the Super Bowl, which is being titled as the Crypto Bowl, right? Because apparently
Yep.
there's a lot of crypto ads that are going to be played during the Super Bowl, which each ad is going for like 7 million for, I forgot, 10, 20-second spot. And supposedly you also have to pair that with an Olympic ad for the same amount, $7 million. I didn't do too much research into that to see if that was true, but it would make sense. So I don't know if Bored Apes gets a direct ad in that broadcast, but I'm sure that there will be some type of activation, like they did with the mutants, and they said "F it," Mutant Saturday, whatever. So
Yeah.
they're gonna blow it up. I don't doubt them at all.
I think that'd be. I think Super Bowl ad is like. I think it's a little bit too optimistic.
Yeah.
I went through, because I think most of this is public. I went through last night and looked at all the people that have bought Super Bowl ads so far, and you see FTX, Crypto.com, all these crypto companies, but there's not really like a Bored Ape Yacht Club has bought an ad. So maybe they may have an appearance, maybe something. But I think if we're going to see Bored Apes at the Super Bowl, it's going to be more in. I think it's more likely to be in the halftime show, which Chili brings up. I don't know if you look on Bovada, the betting website, and there's already a prop bet, and it's will Bored Ape Yacht Club character make an appearance during the halftime show? And I think it's crazy that a year ago this wasn't even a thing, and now in the Super Bowl there's literally a prop bet that everyone can see regarding Bored Apes making an appearance in the halftime show. It's insane, but I think my take on this still image, I think it's leading up to their story. So we've seen the roadmap of the river going across. I think the next step in it is was it I think it's MD versus MMI, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's maybe, I'm looking at this. I'm like, he's sitting on the dock and he's looking at something, like something is startling him. I don't know if
Hmm.
it's like some invasion, and this is like a trailer that's leading up to that, and maybe it's part of that game, kind of like a more of like a prologue to what's coming for that. So I kind of think it's more maybe on that spectrum than an actual Super Bowl ad.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, you could speculate all day about this, and people
Yeah.
are talking about mutant dogs or mech dogs and all kinds of stuff. But as a holder, and even if I weren't, I mean, I'm just excited for the lore and what they do with the capital that they have, because they've grown their team a lot in the past few months, and I know they're working with some of the best content
Yeah.
creators and animators and everything else. So just excited to see what comes of it, and I
Yeah.
can't wait for next Sunday.
I think a lot of people don't realize it. There's like over 30 people that actually work for Board Ape Yacht Club for Yuga Labs. Like
Hmm.
they've really grown that team, which is pretty impressive. That's a huge team.
Huge. I mean, it could be an ape announcement, like ape token announcement. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah, maybe it's it looked like a yellow glare on it. Maybe it's just a pile of ape coin he's just looking
Ape
at that's
coin.
coming down like
Yeah.
on a boat or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to it, to seeing what that is. But I know whatever it is, I'm not going to be disappointed that this team's delivering nonstop. So since we mentioned the ape coin, so what are your thoughts on? We don't need to talk about like, oh, what's it gonna be worth? That's just pulling numbers out of wherever, just to make it
Hmm.
a talking point. But there is one aspect I want to talk about ApeCoin,
Yeah.
and we've seen a lot of debate, arguments, comments of who gets it. Who is it? Is it airdrop?
Yeah.
Is it staking? Is it only for current holders? Is it for anyone that's ever held an ape? What's your thoughts on who gets the coin?
Man, I knew you were gonna take it here because this is so controversial. Like, I've seen people, I've seen newbies have their opinion on this. I've seen OG Bored Ape holders have their opinion on this. New owners have their opinion. It's just, it's everywhere. And I think the team knows you can't make everybody happy. You just got to do
Yeah.
what's best for the ecosystem going forward. So, how do you get people sucked in, and how do you get people interacting with the mechanics in the ecosystem? So that way, there is some type of value. They can't say this is what the value of this coin is, but they can try to uh, increase the value for the users and let them determine what it would cost. Because I'm pretty sure they're just gonna make it like a governance token. It's not gonna be like meant to be used as a currency of sorts. But how would
So,
I do it? I would not. I don't think I would give any to previous owners. I think I would just, do some type of weight equation for OG Bored Apes, mutants, dogs, and then the tricky one for me is the serums. Like, I don't know what to do with the serums.
yeah, because they're not apes, they're serums.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I used all my serums and mutated, just and basically in prep of, I don't think these serums are going to get a part of the ape coin, and I just kind of played it safe and used them. TrueCon also thinks it should be for current holders only. I kind of, I think I tend to agree, honestly. In my mind, so you think the ape token is going to be like a governance token. I think it's going to be that. Maybe it's also going to be part of, because they're supposed to be releasing a play to earn game in the future, so it could be used for that as well. But so in my mind, I think if you've already sold a board ape or a mutant, you've already gained the financial benefit from owning it by selling it. Everyone that's holding currently, they haven't sold, so that we haven't got that financial benefit. So in my head, they haven't received the financial benefit. So I think the current holders are the only ones that should be dropped it. The only issue that we come into is, what about switching wallets? With my apes, I think I've changed in between my vault and my hot wallet probably 3 or 4 times each.
Hmm.
And so how does is it, because if it's only current holders based off how long you held it, that's going to be an issue with people who swapped wallets. So that's where I think there's a little gray area, and I'm not sure how they're going to handle that.
And one more thing is, what if people don't have access to those older wallets that had the ape? So if
Hmm.
they had it for 3 months and then they sold it, and then they also lost access to that wallet, now those ape tokens can't be claimed or recovered or accessed. So
Yeah,
that's another issue.
yeah, it's it's going to be interesting to track. This is one of the things that I think I see a thread on Ape Token every single day, a brand new thread, and it's just everyone's got their speculations. But like you said earlier, no matter what they do, they
Hmm.
could have the most. They could have the most perfect release that they could ever do. Not everyone's going to be happy. Someone is going to be upset. Someone's going to be mad.
Yeah.
Especially if they don't reward previous holders. I think the most mad person's going to be Pranksy. Which
Yeah.
I don't mind not catering to whales like that. It's but we'll see.
And Zach says here, like, it makes sense to include more people than just holders. I think the thing about this is we see people making 20, 30 ETH buys on altcoins like TokenFi and LooksRare, and what's the other one that came out? Not the fees related one. So like, if people are willing to spend money on those types of coins, which I mean are much less popular than Bored Apes, I mean other people more than just holders are going to interact and purchase the ape token. We don't need to give it to them for free.
Yeah, it gives people maybe a cheaper access to the board ape environment than buying an actual board ape or a mutant.
Yeah, you can
Instead of
go buy
spending
2 ETH of ApeCoin.
exactly, and then hey, there's your exposure.
Yep. But I think the thing that we can agree on definitely here is that we definitely want more people involved, and then at a lower entry, right, with lower
Right.
barriers. I there are definitely quite a few people in the Bored Ape ecosystem where they're like, "Hey, I'm a Bored Ape. I'm better than the rest of you guys," right? They're basically like punk owners.
Yeah.
But there's more, much more people in this ecosystem where we want to be involved in the entire NFT landscape, and we want to interact with owners of all types of projects.
Sure. So we've got we actually had a Twitter question. Our first Twitter question is going to become like basically a
Yo,
segment. So shout out to ClassicFunky. He's been following us since we started doing announcements. So he's got this
yeah.
question that we can kind of segue into.
Do you do you mind if I interrupt you real quick?
No, go ahead.
Just shout out ClassicFunky, man. This guy's been interacting with us like nonstop every day, and we love to see the energy, the vibes. Eventually when we post more and more questions and polls and stuff, we want users to interact with us so that way we can bring your questions, whether you're a newbie or whether you're a veteran, to the community, because we want to answer your questions. We want to be as helpful as we can. We want to know your thoughts and opinions. It helps us, and hopefully it can help somebody else. So thanks, ClassicFunky, for the thoughtful reply.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, this is a great scenario to put yourself in. I think it's something we think of all the time, but he puts it in a unique way. So if you had a DeLorean, what advice would you give yourself this time last year? Not really what to buy. It's easy to say, oh, buy Bored Apes and hold them, and that's it. That's
Yeah.
probably would be everyone's answer. But more so, what do you feel is important with respect to approach and applying, that to your trading habits?
Ooh, I mean, I can think of two things right off the bat. For me, it would be one, track your transactions a lot better because I have wallets everywhere. I have different cryptocurrencies and interacting with different blockchains, bridging back and forth, and then obviously your NFT sales and buys as well. So better tracking of that for taxes, and having a good system in place to set aside that money for taxes. And then the second thing for me is early on, if you could tell me, hey Jeremy, like, yo, it's not about the art necessarily,
What do you
unless it's an
mean?
art project, it's not about the art. Like PFPs aren't necessarily just about the art. Do they attract people in? Yeah, but there's also the meme ones where it could just be pixels, it can just be, scribbles. And as long as there's good marketing behind that, it will attract people in, and then that's where where it takes off. So PFPs are not just about the art.
Right. So I don't know if you can hear this alarm. They got a tornado siren going off right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Oops. But so for me, I think I would just basically tell myself to follow my gut even more than I did before. Like I followed my gut a lot last time, but I didn't go with that much conviction. So I think that if you do your research, you have conviction, just follow it fully. I would research teams more in depth, and like you said, I'm instead of betting on the art, bet on the teams and the people behind the project.
Hmm.
And then if there's a team that's not as strong as someone else, then that may be a project I flip quicker than a quick. I would probably flip that project quicker than most projects I'm look to get out. But yeah, I would just follow my gut, and honestly, if we're going back a year, I would just say play even. I already was super risky last year. I would just be extremely even more risky than I was. Just because last year you were rewarded for basically being reckless and risky and everything. It's
Yeah.
not going to be the same this year. We've already seen a pullback from that kind of mentality and that kind of trading. But I definitely would be, you know, playing a lot more. Yeah, I would be more risky last year, but it's different this year. That's not advice that I can apply for right now.
Yeah. I would say, yeah, maybe take a little bit more risk, just because we're also playing with house money, very early on too. So, I mean, taking more risk would have been worth it. And then just going back to the art, just a simple example for maybe those who don't know or weren't following me back then is like Ghost. Ghost was like a big miss for me because when those avatars came out, and I can appreciate them for what they were, but I was like, this did not match up to the level of the 2D digital art that we were seeing. And in my opinion, I was like, maybe I was thinking it took maybe less effort. It was kind of like a meme, and I was just not super high or positive on Ghost. And then about 2 to 3 months later, I understood the point, like the point of the PFPs and the communities and what this was going to turn into. So if I could go back, tell myself it's not about the art, and then applying that, I probably would have bought into the Ghost collection.
Yeah, I mean, I would. Yeah, Ghost was also a miss for me. Luckily, I got into Ghost a little bit late, but I don't have like an original Ghost. I just have the Lunar Zodiacs and the Cosmic Zodiacs where I get the airdrop every week. But sometimes if I could tell myself last year, sometimes you just gotta send it. You see something, just gotta send it. Just buy it and just hold it and see how it plays out. So you mentioned Ghost. Is there another project that you don't own that you wish you would have, even if it's a recent one?
Even if it's a recent one, I mean, recently probably Azuki. I just didn't have like everything set up ready to go to get into Azuki. The morning of the mint, it was just like a just laziness from me. Looking back, the one that I literally missed just because I was not here was Cool Cats, and
Right.
that's before we had like alpha alerts and this and that, and letting people know, hey, this is minting, and we didn't have the bots that said, hey, this is minting out. I literally was just not at my house and not on the computer that night when they were minting for point oh 0.02. But also that was at the time where I was being pretty critical of like the low effort projects. So I still don't know if I would have went all in like some of the people in the chat have. They bought 10,
Right.
20. But I'm a conservative purchaser, so I probably would have bought anywhere from like 2 to 5.
Sure. Yeah, I think for me, I think it would have been Doodles. I wasn't on the white list, but I was eyeing Doodles. I like the look of them. I think they just I love the color palette that they have, and I was eyeing them the whole time between like zero point 0.7 and 1.5, just watching them bounce back and forth, and I just kept waiting for a cheaper entry. They got down below 1 ETH. I'm like, oh, maybe this keep dropping. Let me wait to snag up a bag of them.
Yeah.
And I just played the game of chicken where you're just sitting there, just basically playing chicken with the project, saying, trying to time it right instead of just sending it. So yeah, I missed the boat, and now that they're at 15, 16 ETH, in my head I'm like, I probably am not going to buy any of those now unless they come back down a little bit. But that's
Yeah.
one that I missed that I wish I would have gotten into.
Just a quick shout out since we're somewhat on the topic and people would like to know, hey, what tools do we use, that I mentioned here, like getting alerts, right? So something that you can use is probably like NFTgo.io. A lot of people don't know about this one. You can see the rankings in terms of the market cap, volume spent in the last 24 hours, 7 days, 30 days. You can also come over here to this mint tab and you can see what collections were minted the most in the last 15, 30, 1 hour, 12 hours, 24 hours. So this is something that I regularly check. Uh, Another one like that would be, of course, like Mobi.gg and then IC.tools. But these have both had their sales in terms of the premium membership that you pay like point 0.1 a month or something like that. So these guys have both had their lifetime sales. If you're looking to get a lifetime premium membership for NFT Go is still pretty early and they haven't had their sale yet. So this may be something to look into, to watch if you're interested in getting a tool like that.
Yeah, all these tools are important. I think that we all have our daily routines that we just keep checking these. So those are some good shout outs. Let's see, Chili's got something to say. He would have left Top Shot a lot earlier. Keck. I think a lot of people would have had that same thought as well. That's why I kept saying as a joke, like obviously I'm a part of the Shillerverse with a lot of people, and they're huge into Top Shot, huge NBA fans. I'm kind of glad I wasn't involved in the Shillerverse back then, because I may have been talked in to stay a little bit longer than I did. But let's kind of segue this into, we talked a little bit about trading. Let's talk about actually like trading NFTs. Let's talk about our styles of trading NFTs and how they've evolved. And we've actually got this, Twitter poll that we put up. It's, hey, when buying a project post mint, what's your strategy? And looks like it's an even split between buying one from the floor and sniping mispriced rares.
Mm-hmm.
And we've also got some of the comments. So Big Sexy Bartolo BSB out there, he likes to scoop a few from the floor, and then he tries to aim for some new listings as well and watch those.
Yeah, it sounds like Bartolo there, just freaking flexing that ETH bag, man.
Yo, that guy's a freaking whale. You see,
Well and a half.
speaking of BSV, shout out to him. I don't know if anyone saw this, but he had a tweet. I think it was yesterday where he paid off his mom's house, or he didn't pay it off. I need to pull it up, but he basically was able to get his mom out of a bad situation and put her into a new situation because of what he's made from NFTs, and that is a huge W. So shout out to BSB for that. That is
Yeah.
incredible. Being able
Yeah.
to not only change your life, you're changing the lives of the people around you because of what NFTs have done.
For sure. Shout out BSB. And no, regardless of, um, how much he spent, where it's at, blah, blah, blah. It's just, the fact that he's leveraging his newfound position this past year to improve somebody else's quality of life. And especially when it's a family member is just, yeah, incredible.
Yeah. And then we also had Chili. He commented on there. He said, it depends on the project and his conviction. That said, he's more often than not, he'll grab a few floors and try to snipe some mispriced rares. So I kind of wanted to go over this poll, but also segue into it with us talking about what's our approach to trading NFTs. And we can kind of go through what it was a year ago, just getting started, and what it is now and how that's evolved over time. So I'll let you kind of lead us off.
Oh, man. You know, I would try to get in the mint. If I missed the mint, I'd pretty much not get in because that was just my way of thinking. I'm like, I'm not going to buy somebody else's bag. I'm not going to be somebody else's exit liquidity. Again, like I was pretty conservative. I still am. So I would pretty much just buy them from the floor if they were mint cost, or I would try to mint them. And then that kind of evolved into doing a little bit at mint and holding all the way through reveal and then trying to snipe some rares because I had that conviction in the projects that I got into. So hold them through the reveal and then snipe some rares after reveal and then continue to hold them on the way, hopefully up. And then that kind of transitioned into, well, now I don't really care what they are post reveal for me because we see typically the floor, like the average was pretty much cut in half. So like there would be a 50% reduction as soon as they reveal. So after I kind of learned that and saw that trend, I would again mint the ones that I felt convicted about. I would sell them pre-reveal, and then I would use that profit. I would use that ETH to snipe rares and kind of double dip, and then sell those again higher. And that's where I'm kind of at now. The only small difference is that now I don't mind buying into projects post mint if I do my own research, because I'd rather pay the premium to purchase into that confidence rather than just taking a random guess on a project, just random belief. So
Right.
I'd rather see that the demand is there, pay a little bit more for that, and then ride that up.
Yeah, well, it's also like with this current meta, it's hard to get mints right now because if you're not whitelist, then
Yeah.
you're going to miss all the popular mints. So, most people I talk to, they're not going to be grinding discords to get into level 30 on Discord just to get a whitelist. So
Mm-hmm.
in that aspect, yeah, it's easier to look secondary. So for myself, starting off in NFTs last year, I would buy 2 to 3 NFTs, from minting, and then I maybe sell 1 to 2 back. So I basically would recoup my costs, and then I would hold one to see if it went up even higher, then sell even higher, or just held it to the dirt. But either way, I would try to mint, sell for 2 to 3x, get my money back, maybe a little bit more, than at least hold one, because I always want to have exposure. Something I learned early on was I regretted. I didn't regret missing projects more. I regretted more selling early and not having a part of a project. Once I see them take off. So I really want to have exposure to a project. So that was my approach early on. I kind of held that approach, and then kind of the middle late last year, I started just diving into projects. I minted, I think, like Robotos. I minted 65 Robotos just because it's
Mm.
something I had conviction about. I'm like, let's just go all in.
Yeah.
Not even all in. Let's just buy a huge bag,
I
and I
remember
held
those
them.
nights.
Man, yeah. So I think that I tried to start, basically just throwing ETH around, being reckless, like we talked about earlier. And then now how it's kind of evolved. Now, yeah, right. Now how it's evolved from then until now, you can't really have those mints anymore because of the whitelist meta. So I've kind of adjusted to more sniping rares. Not even sniping, because I feel like sniping is basically you're watching the listings for a mispriced rare. But and I'll use an example for Azuki's. I went out and put a WETH offer on a top 10 rare Azuki, basically an hour after they all revealed, and then I ended up selling it 5 days later for a significant increase from what I paid. So I kind of like that approach now. If there's a product that I see has traction, that I have conviction on, I like to maybe, not even just snipe, but put some big offers on the top rares of the project, because
Hmm.
most of the times those people that holding those top rares, they're not whales. They see a big offer come through. It may be the biggest sale of their NFT career, and they may be more apt to take it than instead of holding through days of the up and down, up and down. That's kind
Yeah.
of been my approach now, is trying to target those rares early on.
I pulled up Gokina's comment about him totally grinding whitelist, and while that is somewhat true, he did get the Hape whitelist. It's you mentioned that that's the meta now, is that you have to earn these whitelists somehow, and it's gamified in all types of ways. I
Right.
think for the most part, it still is kind of done in poor taste. A lot of these projects, like they're they're doing things that probably aren't good for people's mental health in terms of the grind that they have to do for the whitelist. Um, and so, it's funny, I'm totally grinding for whitelist, whatever. But there are people out there who have like anxiety and stress because they feel like they need to be in that Discord talking and grinding the whitelist. And it's even developed to the point where people are now offering services on Fiverr to grind Discord whitelist for you for NFT projects.
Right.
It's gotten absolutely ridiculous. And so I just want to say, take care of your mental health, man. Get enough sleep, get enough rest. No NFT project is really going to be worth, you losing sleep over. Your peace of mind is worth a lot more than that.
Yeah, and there's always the next one. If you miss this project, there's always going to be another. There's going to be another Uzuki. There's going to be another Doodles. There's going to be something else that's going to come through. It's easy to be short-sighted and not look that far ahead. But just, yeah, if you miss something, don't look back and just look forward and just kind of look for those next projects that are coming out.
Yeah. And TrueCon with the breaking news. Shout out TrueCon, my boy Chris. He says, y'all saw the news about Sequoia Capital investing $450 million into Polygon. So that's pretty big. We saw the head of YouTube gaming, Fwiz, hop on over to be the president. I forgot what his title is at Polygon, but essentially be over Polygon gaming.
Yeah.
And then there was some news to follow after that. And now we get hit with this today. Pretty interesting, but just wanted to go give you guys a list to watch, or my watch list of investors who I follow their news and their blogs, their podcasts. So that would be like Dragonfly Capital, Andreessen Horowitz, Union Square Ventures, Sequoia, Dharma, and then Cosmos with a K. So all six of those, they all have their websites and they put newsletters and blogs, videos out. So if you guys want to follow them, that's more like some advanced alpha there, because typically they tell you what they're going to do a long time before we see it in the articles if you pay attention to their calls. So, but Polygon, yeah, 450 million, man, big dub for them.
That's
I
huge.
I think side chains like that where gas is really low, it's going to be incredibly vital to bringing more people into the NFT space. I know a lot of crypto natives right now, and even us who have been here for the last year, we see mainnet as the king, and it definitely is and always will be. But in terms of adoption, I think we're going to have to be really familiar with the side chains, and we're going to have to be more comfortable than we are with it right now. I mean, I don't mind Polygon. I know projects don't necessarily pop off on Polygon yet. And I know there's a lot of people who say, why do I have to bridge my money? I'm not buying it because I have to bridge, and then I have to, bridge my funds back. But I think we're going to get to a point where pretty much like a significant portion of your spendable balance or portfolio is going to be kind of across these side chains, and we're going to have to participate in those ecosystems there.
Well, I think especially like if you look in terms of gaming NFTs, you can't have those on the main net because you're going to be doing all these transactions. I'm sure if you're playing a game actively, you're probably going to be doing dozens of transactions a day, and that's not realistic to pay 30, 50, $70 gas every single time. So these layer 2, these Polygon and Mutable X, those are going to be kind of, I think, popping off this year, with especially with in terms of gaming. You know, that's where a lot of these are going to be based, and they're going to get a lot more of attention from.
Yeah, you're right on that. Like there's not ever going to be a wide scale gaming project that happens on mainnet that is fully on chain, because it's impossible. You can have part of it on chain, and then you can have some game activities, activity logs and events happen off chain. But then I don't want to say it defeats the purpose of blockchain gaming, but people aren't as open to that because they're here for a reason, for that to be all open and transparent, and they want to see stuff happen on chain. So that's just never going to happen on mainnet.
I mean, I think I could think back to one project that it did happen purely on mainnet, and then they had to call an audible real quickly and switch. But I don't even know if you minted these or if you're part of it. But the Ether Orcs, they were like this on-chain RPG. I know a lot of us were able to get on the whitelist, and we were able to mint them for free. And now they're on Polygon. That's what. Well, they kind of have like a shadow NFT on Polygon, where all their raids and everything's done. But it used to be only mainnet. So you would send an orc to raid, you would send an orc to train, you would send all this stuff. You'd be paying a gas fee every single time. So it wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
So luckily those devs are pretty top notch, and they were able to migrate to a different contract that would allow them to have like a shadow on Poly that they were able to do all these raids and transactions through.
Yeah, and it totally brings up a point. I mean, I don't know if this is, validated or not. I don't know if this is true, but just the bringing this point is that even if you have a sidechain, even if you have some type of ZK rollup and whatever implementation you want to do, there's always trade-offs, right? There's always gives and takes, and then when you scale up, it's not always for certain that these gas costs or free gas is always going to stick around, because you're going to have high network usage, right? And then also the security risk. We saw last week Wormhole Capital lost hundreds of billions of dollars due to a WETH defect, a WETH bug in their bridge, and they literally got took for hundreds of millions of dollars. So these side chains aren't necessarily the safest because they don't inherit all of the security that the mainnet provides you. So
yeah, let's go into a little rate the trade. Let's test out a new segment.
Let's
if you're,
do it,
if you're
man.
down. So we're gonna kind of pull up a few trades, and let me pull them up over here. All right. So with this segment, we're basically just going to go through some recent trades that have happened in NFTs, and I try to target trades that are basically cross NFTs, where it's not just, an NFT for ETH or just these easy one versus ones. So let's look at this first one. Let's see. So we've got. So this ape, Suit Ape, look at that. It's Suit Ape,
Suit
flip
Ape.
brim. That is
Suited.
nice. So the Suit Apes are. I was gonna try to make a play for one of these back in the about like a month ago, but I never pulled the trigger. I wish I would have. But
I'm a business ape, not a business ape.
so this one was traded for. Let's start the GIF again. So right out the gate, pizza, a board pizza
mouth.
ape, which is real nice.
Okay.
So we got 3 Kennel Clubs,
E.
the matching little mutant for the original one.
Okay.
And then this is where it gets a little bit interesting. We had some Azukis in here. Look at this
We
Azuki.
got the Zukis.
This is the red bean. He's got the red skin, the red hoodie, red hat. This is the red Azuki, the red
hair.
bean
Yeah.
Azuki right here.
Yeah. Blood.
And then we've got the fireball Azuki. So, what do you think about this trade? What is what side would you rather have?
Oh man. Personally, I think I'm keeping the Bored Ape. I think I'm keeping the OG. And it's kind of funny. I'm totally added that in there. Why didn't they throw the 0.2 ETH in there?
That's what I was. I would love to have been a fly on the wall for this conversation, like over DMs. Like, hey man, those two apes, those dogs, those two Zukis, those all sound great, but
Yeah.
can you just add point two? That's really gonna, that's really gonna
Yeah.
tip the
You
scale in
can't
my
go any lower
favor.
than that.
You,
Yep. You need
you
that at the
need,
point two.
we're trading, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of assets, but yeah, this point two is what's gonna come down to. I feel like that may have been like the suit ape just kind of trying to like, I don't
Yeah.
know, make a point, just like, I need to feel like I'm winning.
Yeah.
Let's go and add a point two on there.
Personally, I'm keeping the OG. I've always wanted a suit ape, man. Always, always. I mean, I don't think
Right.
it'll ever happen for me anymore. But man, I have a thing for just suit apes, like business apes. I just think it looks super professional. And then plus throwing the merch hat. I mean, I wear hats almost every day. That's pretty sick there. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I love the suit apes. I love the flip brim. I think it's nice as a nice ape. I probably would take the ape as well. Usually, whenever I think of trades in this aspect, I always want to have the most valuable asset at the end, the most valuable singular asset, and in this case, this would be the suit ape.
yeah. In terms of who do you think won though? Like, I know which one you say you'd rather keep, but who do you think kind of won this trade?
So, man, I think honestly, it looks pretty even because these two Azukis, those are way above floor Azukis. The Fireball floor for an Azuki is like 25 ETH, and then
Yeah.
that all red theme, the red bean, like people are gonna pay for that theme because it's that red beam versus the blue bean type of thing.
Sure.
That's probably another 25 30 ETH Azuki. So you've got at least 50 to 60 ETH in Azukis. You've
Hmm.
got maybe 30 ETH in Kennel Club, and then you've got a board pizza ape. I mean, you probably this package right here is probably around, I don't know. I would say it's like 250 to 300 ETH at least, and I think that's kind of a little bit low for the suit ape. So I think the suit ape would. I think the suit ape won that because I think suit ape, especially with the merch hat, I think it's probably 350 400 ETH ape.
Yeah. So I think the person, taking my bias out of it, I think the person who got the more assets probably won in this trade in terms of the future ROI, because I mean, if you look at the trends, I feel like Azuki still is on the way up. Not
Right.
financial advice. Don't go spend whatever it is to buy an Azuki,
No,
15
I
ETH
heard.
or whatever.
I'm buying right now. I heard what you said. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think they still have a ways to grow. Mutants, I think, are still incredibly undervalued. Kennel clubs, I don't know what to think of their value because Bored
Right.
Apes just continually leaves them out of stuff. So that's another speculative thing. That's 3 kennel clubs in there, but the mutant undervalued. Azuki, I think, is still going up. So in terms of ROI, I think the person who got those assets probably won.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good trade, and I love these trades where it's like one asset for just a bag. It's also easier. You know, the advantage of having this, the bag of lesser assets is it's easier to liquidate than one rare ape. It's
Hmm.
easier to sell one. Oh, I need some ETH. Let me go sell one of these kennel clubs. Let me go sell one Azuki. You're not having to sell this huge asset that's only maybe a handful of people are actually looking to buy right now. So
Yep.
in that aspect, it's nice to have the bag. But let's go and go to the next one. So we've got.
Oh, I saw Blue Bean.
Uh-oh.
Wait,
Yeah,
Blue Beams. Never
we
mind.
got 600 ETH for a trippy set. We got a trippy fur and blue beams. Like,
Whew.
what a ape!
Yo, that is nuts, man. 600 ETH for the full set. So M1, M2 of the same OG ape, huh?
Hmm.
Wow.
I mean, look at that. That's a nice ape. That's
That would be what Schiller calls a banger.
yeah,
Yo, can we get some bangers in the chat, please?
um,
Yo, that's
yeah. I
pretty
mean,
crazy, man.
so 600 ETH. What do you think?
600 ETH. I'm gonna give it to the guy. I think this is a good spin. If you're ever gonna spend 600 ETH, I think this is pretty solid. 1.8 million. I mean, in a year, probably less, but definitely in a year, I think this value is gonna be way more than that.
Yeah, I would take the apes as well. And initially, when I first saw this trade, I'm like, that's at least like a 700, 800 ETH bundle with
Yeah.
those. I mean, you got some of the two most rare traits paired together, blue beams and trippy. And I haven't looked into it, but I'm assuming this may be the only trippy blue beams. I could be wrong, but that's a really unique combination. So I would take the apes over that.
Man, the aesthetics of this is just so sick. Like, oh, I'd love to have that mutant. Dude, that is
Yeah, and
insane. Mutants are insane.
there's a Schiller shirt with his bird right there. And I know how much he loves that Hawaiian shirt with the bird. All right, let's go to the next one. So we're moving away from Bored Apes. So we've got
Uh-huh.
this trade now. We've got one Cool Cat
Mm.
for one Crypto Mori, two Dead Fellas, a Subduck, and one ETH. So I know a lot of these, it's not a ton of our specialty. Like I'm not in Dead Fellows anymore. I'm not in Subducks anymore, but I do have Cool Cats and some Moris. I don't know what your exposure is to. I don't know what your exposure is on these, but what's your opinion? What side would you rather have? In chat, let us know what you would rather have as well.
This one is weird, man. How the heck did these two guys even connect?
Right?
This is a weird trade. One thing I want to know probably is the Cool Cat already redeemed for the egg or not? That's one thing. And then also same thing for the dead fellas. Did they get their dead friends passes or not? But without any of that context, I'm probably sticking with the Cool Cat just because of the upcoming milk token in the game.
Right.
And again, I don't know what they did with the egg, but even without it, I think I'm still keeping the Cool Cat, to be honest. I think Cool Cats still, like, they're undervalued the same way that mutants are undervalued at the moment,
Right.
I believe.
Yeah, and I think our goal, or one of my goals, is to always hold these top projects, these quote unquote blue chips. I don't know if I would consider Cool Cats a blue chip right now. I think they have the most potential, especially out of this list. They have the most potential out of any of these. So I would rather have that more valuable asset. It looks like the chat is also, Snow says Cool Cat, Q Dog, Cool Cat, Gokina, Cool Cat, TrueCon. It looks like everyone's saying Cool Cat as well.
Cool Cat. Oh, even, we got Obama in the chat. Obama even said Cool Cat.
Yo, I mean,
Shout out Obama.
yeah, you can't argue with that then. But yeah, those were, next week maybe we'll have some more trades. If you guys see any unique trades that you want us to talk about on stream, tweet at us, let us know, and we can bring them up.
Yeah, hit us up on the Twitter to be honest. Like, just if you see any crazy trades, high value trades that maybe you don't necessarily agree with, or you think somebody must have been high to do that trade, or if you see paper hands, right? Like somebody sell gold ape for 300 ETH less than the floor. Like, let us know, tag us in that, so that way we can be sure to get the chance to see that and possibly bring it up on stream.
Yeah. All right, let's go into our last segment. This is going to be a kind of a fun one that we're going to be kind of maybe doing. So I think we're titling this "Knowledge for Normies" for now, but we're going to kind of see how it goes. So we've all been in NFTs for months, almost a year now, and we have this lingo. All these words that we use that whenever we say it, we know that we know what it means. We know all these terms. But if we talk to someone outside, we sound like a crazy person. Like I've got a couple examples of this. So earlier last year, this was like back in like I think September, August. I was away. I was out of town, and my wife sent me a text as a joke like, "Hey, are we rich enough now that I can lower the AC below, can I put it at 70 instead of,
Yeah.
we always kept the AC at like 78, 76. So she said, hey, are we rich enough now where we can put it to 72? And my response was, send it. And her response to that was, send what? you know, she had no idea. It's something we say all the time, like, oh, sometimes you just gotta send it. So that's one. Another one is, if I'm at like a get together with my wife at her, with her coworkers, and they ask what I do, I can't just say, yeah, I'm in NFTs. I'm pretty liquid right now. I can't just go around telling people I'm liquid. That sounds kind of weird. So we've got this lingo that we use. So we've got this segment that's going to be, knowledge for normies, where we take a word and we break it down and explain it into a way that someone outside of entities can understand. And I kind of look at it as like anyone who watches The Office, you see the episode where Oscar's explaining accounting to he's explaining surplus to Michael Scott, and then Michael, after he explains it, Michael just pauses and just says, explain it to me like I'm five. So we're going to kind of do a segment like that. And so Jeremy, I wanted you to explain what gas or gwei, what that is to someone normal.
Okay. So gas is what happens after you have like a Mexican dinner. You maybe eat some rice and beans, and like that's all up in your stomach. Maybe you have some tea, and cervezas, and then you got gas in your stomach. Güey is like, órale güey, like you're saying what's up to your homie, something like that, like Snow or TrueCon. You hop in the Discord and you're like, ¿Qué pasa güey? Something like that, gas in güey, or is that not the?
I mean, yeah, sure, though. Yeah, go ahead. But I think in terms, I'm thinking more of Ethereum gas. Let's talk about the blockchain version of
Oh,
gas and Gwei.
blockchain gas,
Yeah, yeah,
blockchain
yeah,
gas. That's
yeah,
my
yeah,
bad.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
This is a NFT stream.
you're right. You're right. This is an NFT stream. So gas is basically the unit. Gas is what you pay to miners and validators as they process your transaction, right? So they need to process and validate your transaction on the Ethereum blockchain. The unit that you pay them in, or yeah, the fee that you pay them in is called gas. Gas is typically denoted like in Gwei. Gwei, for those of you who don't know, is just a unit of Ethereum. It's actually 1 billionth of an Ethereum. That is Gwei, and that's what you typically see gas fees paid in. Gwei, there's another name for it too, but essentially how you can relate it, because this is knowledge for normies, explain it to me like I'm 5, is this is the transaction fee that you use to get like Uber Eats from the restaurant to your house, right? So you're needing to validate that transaction, you're needing them to bring you the food. So that transaction fee that they charge you is like paying gas on the Ethereum blockchain, because you have the base fee, which is adjusted based on the demand for Uber Eats and stuff like that. And then you have the tip fee, which again, there's two things you can relate to that. One is literally the tip, and then the other is the priority fee, right? Because you can skip everybody who's in the Uber Eats queue, and you can say, if I pay you more of a priority fee, you bring it straight to me. Like I'm first in line. So that's essentially what gas and Gwei is.
Fantastic. Yeah. I think that's a good explanation. That's especially for someone that doesn't know what they're talking about. That's something you could, relating it to like Uber Eats or like a delivery service. I think that's a good segue to kind of make that connection and then make it click in their mind.
All right. So you hit me with one. I guess I got to get you back. If this is knowledge for normies, this is our second stream. I'll toss you a little softball. What do you think? How would you explain the blockchain to somebody like Gokina?
I don't know if I can explain it to someone like Gokina, but someone actually normal, I could probably explain it to a little bit better. But let's see. All right, so the blockchain. This is something I learned. Something I learned about myself recently is I'm terrible at breaking things down. So this is a good practice for me. So I'm gonna stick with the whole food theme. You use DoorDash, you use Uber Eats. I'm gonna stick with the food theme. Let's think of the Ethereum blockchain as let's view a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
So so first of all, blockchain is basically just this public ledger that anyone can view and verify from at any time. That is verifiable through all these different computers that are linked together. This network. But to break down even more, we're going to use this example of a grocery store. So if I go to the grocery store, I go pick out my items, I go to checkout, I pay for my transaction, and I get a receipt.
Mm-hmm.
And also the store they have it in their files as well. So we just had that transaction. So the blockchain is basically, this public record of a grocery store where, my transaction, my receipt is online. It's verifiable by this network. It's also verified by the grocery store's end on their files. But not only is mine, it's also yours. It's also Gokina's. It's Buffalo's. It's Harrod's. Everyone. All these people that are doing these transactions on Ethereum, they get processed in these certain blocks. That these blocks get filled with these receipts with these transactions, and then once that clears, another block is formed. So it's this series of blocks, and we think of it as a grocery store. I can go through it and I can see what you bought. I can see how much you paid for, a can of beans. I can see how much you paid for this frozen pizza that you're going to eat for lunch. I can see how much you bought. The grocery store, I can see how much they received. It's basically this series of transactions that you publicly can see and verify through a computer network. And that is the Ethereum blockchain broken down as a grocery store.
Yep. And then I think there's like multiple copies of that database, right? So every
Right.
grocery store in that chain can can access that same data.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully, if you guys ever get anyone in the chat ever gets these questions, maybe those will help you explain a little bit better. But if y'all have any, I think we're gonna maybe make this a regular segment. So if you have any words you want us to break down into little layman's terms, then hey, let us know on Twitter. Shoot us that tweet.
Yeah, let us know. It can be for a friend. Hey, I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah.
Hey, just shout out again, not financial advice, DYOR, everything, but just a couple projects coming out today. The Cool Pets Allow list is already minting today. You got Pixelmon Generation 1, Dutch auction beginning today. Steve Aoki token claiming, that starts today. You got shout out Paris Hilton, the queen of NFTs. Paris Hilton is dropping her My Forever Fairy Tale later on today. And then I think there's an art block. It may have already happened. It may be happening right now, but there is also an art block curated today.
Yeah, it's good shouts. I'll be watching those Cool Pets for the next 48 hours. I'll be watching those closely. Gonna be curious to see the price on those. I think everyone expects them to fall. Do they actually fall? I don't know. It may do the opposite of what people think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of all we've had. That's all we had planned for today. All of our segments. So it's a little bit shorter stream. Mondays are probably going to be shorter than usual because we're just starting the week. But we're going to be back here for those who weren't here on Friday. What our plan is moving forward is to have 3 streams a week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. So yeah, our next stream is we're going to see everybody here bright and early. Sorry, TrueCon. I know you're in California, but you're just going to have to set those alarms again. But we'll be back here 11 a.m. Eastern on a Wednesday.
Yeah, it's the plan for this week at least. Tagline has some stuff going on, so but we're listening to everybody, listening to you guys about the content, about how we present stuff, what information we present, what time it's done. So thank you everybody for filling out the feedback form last week. We'll open those occasionally. We definitely wanted the feedback after the first stream, so we try to make some changes there. And yeah, well, I mean, we'll look at the time again. We'll revisit it and see what works best for everybody. But this week specifically, we kind of have our hands tied. So thanks for the support, though.
Yeah. Thank you all for dropping by. And I think we hope we did the whole Be Your Own Alpha segment, last Friday. So just a kind of a reminder, just everyone just be your own alpha and enjoy today, enjoy tomorrow. We're gonna see everyone back here on Wednesday.
Yeah, see you guys Wednesday, man. Be your own alpha. Appreciate it.
Peace.